Hello and welcome back. You are listening to Courtney at the Wire. We have a caller calling in from Arlington, Texas. His name is Andy. Welcome to the show, Andy.
Well, thank you so much, Courtney. It's good to talk to you.
Hello. So today our show is all about love because obviously Valentine's Day is coming up, and I know that you have been married for a long time. So pretty much, first off, I want to ask you, how long have you been married?
We've been married almost 31 years, but 30 years plus.
Okay, that's a really, really long time. I haven't even
Yes,
been alive for that long. So that is a lot of time to spend with one person.
it is. But I tell you, I'm the luckiest guy in the world because the person that I spend my life with is the love of my life, and I can't imagine not spending my life with her.
That is one of the sweetest things I think I've ever heard. So I really want to know the whole story, just the entire story of how you met and just your whole love story.
Oh gosh, I have so many stories.
Well,
Well, we
do
met.
you remember the first time you ever saw her?
I do. I absolutely do. I was a senior in high school in Duncan, Oklahoma, and she was a junior, and we were in drama class together. And she came walking into the classroom, and Duncan's not a huge town, but we didn't know each other before that. Uh, she came walking in the room, and she was the most beautiful girl that I think I had ever seen in my life. And I thought, I have got to know her better. I don't know who she is, but I have got to know her better.
And did you have a girlfriend at the time when you saw this person?
We did. I did, yes. We both had, respectively, a boyfriend and a girlfriend. And she was going steady with a boy, and I was going steady with another girl. And
Okay, for the
I
people.
tried to do the admirable. I'm sorry, I did the admirable thing. I broke up with the other girl before I asked Carrie out, and I thought she had broken up with her boyfriend. But when she accepted, she hadn't actually broken up with him.
Oh. Well, okay, hold on. Let's go back a little bit because most of
Okay.
my listeners are pretty young, and I don't know if everybody even knows what going steady means. So, can you explain that?
Well, in my day, going steady meant that, if you were not going steady, then you might date, different people at different times and go out just to have fun with whoever. But once you started going steady, that meant that you were exclusive, dating only that person, and you didn't go out with anyone else. You were actually boyfriend and girlfriend. You were going out at that point.
Okay. So, when you say you're going steady with someone, does an exchanging of anything happen? Like, do you give them a gift?
Back in those days, you would typically do something like let them wear your class ring, and that's what we
Oh,
did.
okay.
So the Duncan Demon class ring, you would give that to the girl, and she would wear it. And that, if you had a class ring at that point.
Okay, so did your girlfriend have to give you your class ring back when you saw Carrie?
Actually, no, I don't think I had given her. We were going steady, but we weren't going that steady. Where I had
Okay.
given her a class ring. That was a big deal.
Okay. Okay. So you asked Carrie out and she said yes, but she still had a boyfriend. So what happened after that?
So after that, I well, she acted kind of funny for a few days because our first date was not for 2 weeks after I asked her out. Our first date was actually going to be the homecoming dance after homecoming. And the unusual thing about that is that I was escorting the homecoming queen for homecoming. So I actually had to kiss another girl in front of Carrie the
Oh
night of
no.
our first date. But
Oh
she was
no.
acting funny up until a few days before homecoming, and then I found out that night at the homecoming dance why she was acting that way. It's because she had this boyfriend that she had to break up with, even
Oh
though
my
she
goodness.
had said she would go out with me.
Oh, yeah. Once you're going steady, it sounds like you're kind of stuck. So you have to
Oh,
break
that's big
up.
stuff.
And in
That's
front of the
big.
whole school. Wow. Okay, so she broke up with her boyfriend and then she saw you kiss another woman. So how did that last?
You mean how did it last? How did the relationship last as a
Yes, I
result
mean,
of
what
that?
happened from there? How was that a connection? Because I think if I saw somebody that I had committed to going on a date with kiss another girl on our first date, I don't know if I would be interested after that.
Well, it was a different world back then. In those days, the homecoming queen, they didn't have homecoming kings and queens back then. They only had a homecoming queen, and it was typically the senior girl. So they had a homecoming court. That was in our school. That would be a representative of the sophomore class, the junior class, and the senior class. And it was pretty much a given that the senior girl was going to be the one who was the homecoming queen. So it certainly wasn't a long, involved kiss. It was just a congratulatory kiss because it was my job to escort her. So it wasn't a big deal. That part wasn't a big deal. I think the biggest deal was I think I told Carrie that night that I loved her.
Oh, no.
And I did. But I think I scared her a little bit when I told her that.
How did you know you loved somebody, though, after only knowing them for 2 weeks?
I don't know. But the thing is it's never changed for me. It's been the same since that first day, only better.
Oh.
And has grown, of course. But I knew that I loved her from the second I saw her. I knew that she was my person that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. That's crazy because we dated for 7 years.
Wow.
But I knew that from the day one.
7 years. Wow. Okay, so back to you meeting Carrie. I believe you were kind of a high-profile kind of person at your high school. Is that right?
I was a legend in my own mind. I guess I was. I mean, I was senior class president, and I was Key Club president, and Mr. FBLA. They call the Future Business Leaders of America. I don't know.
And your dad was someone special too, right?
My dad was my principal.
Oh, man.
Which you would think would have made my life easier in school, but in reality it would have made it tougher.
Right.
I didn't get any special treatment because of that. But he was, he was fair with me, but some of the teachers who may not have liked him because he was their boss weren't necessarily fair with me.
Right. So you were kind of high profile though. Everybody probably knew who you were. So maybe that helped get the date in the first place.
It probably did. That and the fact that I'm not very shy. I'm pretty outgoing. Probably helped as well. I don't ever take no for an answer, hardly. And so all those things work together to get me a first date. Then
okay.
It was up to me.
So what happened on your first date when you told her that you loved her on the first date? What was her reaction?
She said, "What?" I said, I mean, I love you, in just in a way that I'm just really glad to be around with you and hanging around with you and stuff." And I covered for it as quickly as I could, but she saw through all of that.
Oh my goodness.
She knew that I was, that's kind of a taboo to tell somebody you love them on the first date. But that's kind of the way I am. I just kind of say what I feel, and that's how I felt. And I still feel that way.
So what happened after that? I know you said you dated for 7 years. So what happened? How did you propose and all that stuff?
Well, we went to different colleges, and when you date someone for that long, the proposal part is maybe not as dramatic. It's not like it's a big surprise coming or something,
right,
as it would be if you were older when you met and you dated for a shorter time
Well,
period.
I'm surprised you didn't propose 1 week in.
Yeah, well, that may have happened. Who knows how many times that happened. But, but in reality, the way I proposed was, you have to understand, this was in the 70s, so and early 80s. And she went to school at Oklahoma City University and then ended up transferring to OU and graduating from OU. But she was at home in Duncan, and I went and bought a new white sport coat.
Woo.
And took her to eat at this restaurant that I don't think is even there anymore. It was in Chickasha, Oklahoma, called The Willows. And it was a fancy place, especially for Chickasha, and took her to dinner there and proposed and had her engagement ring, and she said yes. Then I think we broke up a couple of times after that and got back together. It was a long process.
So
But
did you get down on one knee?
I didn't. I don't remember doing that. We just had a really special dinner, and I think I just took her hands in mine and told her that, she knew and I knew that we were meant to be together, and we were to the point in our relationship to where we either had to get married or break up because we just, needed to move to the next level.
Right.
And it was time for us to get married.
Right.
And she
7
agreed.
years is a really long time.
It was a long time.
Yes.
Very long time.
So did you talk to her dad before you did this?
I did, and he was a very difficult person to talk to.
Why?
Because I didn't know how he would react. And I am not afraid of any situation, but it was probably one of those few situations in my life where I was actually nervous. I didn't know what he would say or how he would react, but I think he was more nervous than I was because he didn't say a whole lot. He just said, okay. Yeah, and that was about it.
And you talked to him in person to person, not on the phone or anything?
Person to person, not on the phone.
Wow.
Yep, sure did.
So you got engaged, and then how long did it take you to get married?
It was, from that point, it was still a considerable amount of time because we wanted to let her finish college. But we didn't quite make it that long. We ended up getting married during spring break of her last year of college. So she just had a couple of months left.
Okay, so you were living here in Norman.
I was actually living in my mobile home trailer in Purcell, Oklahoma, and working in downtown Oklahoma City.
Oh, that's kind of a far drive.
It was, but I couldn't find any place cheap enough that I could park a trailer closer to Oklahoma City, so I had to live in Purcell.
Well, it was a different time, like we said, and I think it's amazing just to maintain a relationship without having a cell phone or even maybe a home phone, because she was probably living in the dorms.
Oh, she was, and it was so that she, at the time, she was living her senior year, she lived in an apartment. All previous to that, she did live in the dorms.
So how did you communicate with one another?
Well, I would call her from my home phone, which was in Duncan, because I was going to school in Lawton at Cameron University, and I would wait until 11:01 p.m. every night because the rates would go to 50% at 11 p.m.
Okay, that's
smart.
And
the only way we could afford to talk to each other was for me to call at 11:01 p.m. and we would talk for hours at times. And my phone bill was atrocious, but it was
worth it.
But worth it, absolutely.
Yes. Wow. Okay. I just think that would be so difficult trying to maintain a relationship. I'm in constant communication with everyone in my life.
That's a different world, and as am I now. But,
right.
And I don't know what it would be like to not have my cell phone. As a matter of fact, I'm talking to you on my cell phone right now.
Do you even own a home phone anymore?
I don't even own a home phone anymore.
Right. Wow. Okay, so that's truly amazing. I think that really does show how much you cared for each other, that you could maintain that relationship through all that without even being able to talk on a normal basis. So I just think that's wonderful. So
I absolutely. I just wanted to tell you one other thing, and that is that I think for a relationship to work like ours has, that you have to truly love that person more than you love yourself, and you would do anything for them to keep them safe, to help make them successful, what have you. That you have to care more for that person than you care for yourself, and that's the problem with a lot of marriages, I think, today.
So do you think that's the key to a long-lasting marriage?
Absolutely.
That would be your biggest advice to give to people my age?
My best advice. If you're looking for another person, if they care more about themselves than they do about you, it's probably not the right person for you.
Right. So, okay, we're going to go back to the story a little bit here. So you got married, and then what happened? Did you have kids?
We did. So Carrie was, when you get married, you go see doctors, and all. At least that's what you used to do. You go see doctors, make sure everything was okay in that department. And she was supposed to have had a hard time ever having children, but 12 months, and almost exactly 12 months from the day we got married, we had our first child, and little boy, and then we
That's
had
overwhelming.
2 more children. I'd say that again.
That is overwhelming to be newlyweds.
I know, but it was okay because it was the way God intended for it to be for us, and it was a special little boy. And then we had another little boy after that 4 years later, and we had a really special little girl 3 years after that, 7 years after our first one was born.
So all your kids are grown and out of
All
the
of
house.
them are grown. We're empty nesters. We just got back from a ski trip in Crested Butte, Colorado. Had the best time. Skied in snow that was about 2.5 feet deep. And didn't have to worry about going on spring break for the first time in a long time.
Wow. So what do you think is better, having the kids in the house or having no kids and being able to do whatever you want?
Oh, that's a tough question. Absolutely, it's having the kids in the house. Even though it gives you freedom when they're gone, all you think about is all the time, fun times that you had, and to helping them to grow up and to learn and teach them the things that they need to know. And now that I have grandkids, I still see my kids and my grandkids because having little kids is just the sweetest thing. They have such pure hearts, and they're just so fun to be around. And they get to experience life for the first time in so many different ways in their life.
Right, and you get to be a part of those experiences without having to do the crummy stuff like change the diapers.
Well, that's true, but when you have your own children, it's really part of the Valentine's story. That's a product of your love that you have with your spouse, and you get to experience that love on a daily basis. So
Yes.
that's what's special about kids.
Well, okay, so now that you brought up Valentine's Day, do you have any plans for Friday?
Well, I did, but we're going out to eat with my brother-in-law and sister-in-laws. And we found out that one sister-in-law has to be gone out of town on that day because of business unexpectedly. So we all changed our plans to do it Thursday night instead of Friday night. So our Valentine's Day is actually going to be on the 13th and not the 14th, but it doesn't matter. It's still
Hey,
Valentine's
you know what?
Day.
That might actually be better because I have been to the restaurants on Valentine's Day, and it's actually not very fun to deal with all the people that are there.
That's true, but we had reservations 6 weeks ahead of time, so we were going to be fine. But it'll be fine. What difference does it make? It's the spirit of the day for us.
Definitely, definitely. Well, so now that we're nearing the end, I just wanted to ask you, what is just overall with your marriage and your life, what is your best memory that you can remember?
Wow. It's so difficult to say what one memory is the best memory, but for me, it's really hard for anything to compare with the birth of my children. But the one burning moment in my memory that I never will ever forget, no matter what age I am, no matter what mental health I have, is standing at the altar and looking down the aisle and seeing my future wife being escorted by her dad down the aisle to marry me. It brings tears to my eyes today to think about it. But that's probably the single memory that is the most indelible in my memory.
I think that is probably one of the most important ones. Do you have anything else that you want to say before we head out?
Oh, no, it was so fun talking to you. Thank you for this privilege to get to talk to you, to tell you about my love story. And you know what? My love story still occurs every day.
That's right. It's it's still open-ended.
It absolutely is. So thank you, Courtney.
Thank you so much for calling in. If anybody else out there wants to call in, the number is 405-325-WIRE, WIRE. You are listening to Courtney at The Wire. We will be back in a little bit. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Andy.
Thank you.